You're listening to Creatively Geeky, the support group for your creative process.
Hello and welcome to the Sorry, wrong show. Hello, welcome to the Creatively Geeky Show. Sorry, I got thrown off with the laughter there. Really. I'm your host for the evening.
He was starting. He was going to do the thing, and he was like, ready to do it. And then I conked his nose a few times. So that
Nice. Tonight I'm joined by Ray, Kris, and Cyrus. How are y'all doing?
good.
I'm sorry, the Cyrus. If you're watching the video version.
The Cyrus.
The Cyrus. So this is episode 44. This is our catch-up episode where we talk about things we've been watching, listening to, thinking about, and doing. I'm still, if you're watching the video version on YouTube, you can see I am still not in either my old office or my new one yet. So if I've got another 2 or 3 weeks before that happens, so it's gonna be interesting.
Eugene, tell us what you're seeing where you're at. What's going on out in the field?
Killing me. Gotta love headphones. Not really. Never mind. All right. So anyway, let's go ahead and get right on into it. Would anyone like to go first? And then which thing would you like to talk about first? Anyone?
I'll go.
I'll go first. Oh, you're gonna go? All right, Kris. What would you like to talk about?
We're all going to go exactly the time, right?
And begin.
Well, back in 19 Dickety.
No.
Uh-oh, is Eugene frozen?
Oh,
Did we lose it? Oh, no. That's how it ends.
Okay.
Oh, there he is.
There you go.
I'm here again.
Okay.
Getting an internet connection thing. Jeebus. This is going to be a great technical episode, let me tell you.
Face of like, really?
I'm sorry, Kris. What were you said you wanted to go first. What would you like to talk about?
I'll just do it in the order that you listed it in.
Okay.
So you're going to start with watching?
Yes, I was going to say that. It's March break. So what I've been watching is Love is Blind, season 6. There's a reason why I don't watch reality television, because I'm way too invested in this. It's stupid, ridiculous. I rage. These people are stupid. And I don't know them, and they're probably fine. Cyrus, you should watch it. It's very
Love is Blind. What is this on?
Netflix. Yeah.
I don't have Netflix right now, so I'd have to get it back again.
It's terrifying.
So this is the first time he's watching it with me from the beginning. And yeah, it's a lot.
It's a train wreck.
It's a super train wreck. And it is every season, but it seems to be like getting more derailed as it goes along. So yeah, but I can't watch a lot of reality television. I get way too emotional about it.
Do you think it's suffering from what I don't watch any real reality TV shows anymore, at least competition shows.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to watch like Big Brother, and every season it seemed like the people they picked had to be more over the top than last year. They had to specifically pick, all right, well, this year we're going to have a Nazi, and this year this guy is like a Jewish whatever. And it's like, why would you put those people together on purpose, except for you're just trying to cause drama?
Yes.
It's definitely
feels like they want to do that with this show, because they pick some real doozies. Like, so last season there was a guy who was using eye drops to make it look like he was crying. And like in front of the camera, he's spraying it in. And he's like, "Is this okay?" And they're like, "Yeah, you do whatever you want." And so they showed that on the show, which is hilarious to me.
Wow.
They also had a psychopath on there. He I don't know
which one.
This season.
Oh, Matt. So Matt, apparently
he's something else.
Apparently, well, and it showed. He was telling 2 different women the same exact thing, saying, "I'm not telling anybody."
But don't tell anybody I'm telling you this.
And then one of the women confronted him, because obviously girls talk, and he was like, "Why would I lie in front of America?
America's going to judge you.
Yeah,
like America's watching." And
anyway, and then this one's a train wreck. There's they need so much therapy. They need so much vetting. None of these people are actually ready to get married and actually have these relationships. And they're all really relatively young. Like the youngest one was 24.
Yeah.
And I realized, we were when we got married, but we were together for 5 years before we got married. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, we didn't meet. And then 10 days later, without seeing each other, decided we were in love and get engaged. And then get married a month later. Like, it's ridiculous, but it's
fascinating experiment. Now, if they actually wanted to make an experiment, each one of them would have a therapist, and then when they decide who they wanted to be with, then they would have a couples therapist.
Yes.
And that's how the show would actually work.
Oops. Yeah.
But
they don't because
it's
whatever.
It's for the lulls and it's the views. And,
yeah. But these poor people are getting reamed on over the internet.
Online, it's getting nasty too.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
And the reunion is tonight. That's the other thing why I want to miss.
Yeah.
The reunion is tonight at 9:00 Eastern time. And I'm, again, going to be yelling at the television, and we're going to have to pause it at certain points. We're going to have to debrief, and it's just going to be like, it's going to be intense.
Now, is it premiering at 9 Eastern, or is it a live? Or is this another one of those Netflix's live?
It better not be live. The last time they did that, it was terrible.
Well, I know,
it took an hour and a half.
They did do
the Golden
Globes, and that was fine. Like seems like they worked the kinks out. So it might be live.
Yeah, I know they did. They've had a couple of hits. They've had a couple of misses with the whole live streaming thing. And I think they're probably sorting out which companies they can, definitely work with. They're like, oh no, if y'all say it's live, we're good. Y'all, maybe live to tape. Maybe we should go that route.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they might do.
Yeah.
Your blurry hands freak me out, Eugene. When you're talking, your hands get blurry, and I'm like, oh.
There's something inappropriate happening.
Oh, see, I thought y'all were going to bring up the not the Bobaverse books, the Magic 2.0 books that I'm getting blurred out. So anyway,
when you start moaning, then we know that it's
yes. Just tie a rag over my mouth. Cyrus is like, what are y'all reading? Anyway. See, it's funny because my mom's been watching, she watches some reality TV shows and living here at the house. She was showing us this one. It's a competition show. I don't even know what it was, but they're like these 4 or 5 exact houses, and they have these couples that come in that have their own renovation shows, and they're having each one do a house and stuff like that. And I was just telling her, I was like, I said, I'm just so over reality TV show, especially the competition ones, because of the way they run it. I was like, there were a couple of shows on Netflix that I wanted to like. Blown Away was a really good one. And I can't remember what the metalworking one was. Blown Away, Cyrus, was a competition show about glass blowing.
Yeah.
And these people make these beautiful, beautiful pieces of art. Well, but it's the traditional competition thing where, every week we have to cut someone out. And like this one guy was making this beautiful art, but he's like, most of my stuff is more like industrial. And the challenge for that week was make blown art that looks like food or something like that, very organic. And so he didn't do very well that week, and they cut him. And I'm just like, why don't y'all just freaking keep these people the entire time, do like a point system so that everyone can compete every single week, and it's a true competition.
But
I'd
support that.
Yeah, the only other reality show that we watch is Survivor.
Well, I was going to say, so Survivor is one that we do watch, and that's fun.
Yeah.
The one that we watched that I actually enjoyed more than I thought I would was was it Glow Up?
Oh yeah,
it was a British makeup show on, I think it's Netflix.
I think it's Netflix, yeah.
At least in Canada it is, and it was actually really well done. Sometimes, and this is same thing with the Great British Baking Show.
Yeah.
Sometimes the contestants will help each other.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. I think that's a great thing. Like, hey, can you give me a hand with this? And it was like, yeah, sure. And like they give each other a hand. And I don't know. That kind of competition is always fun. So
yeah. No, I agree. I prefer to see competition shows, if they do a competition show where everyone gets to continue to compete. It's kind of the European versus American board game debate, whereas I like both of them, but I tend to like European board games better because people get to play the entire time. There's no, like, most American board games are focused around the idea of getting everyone else out as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And that can be fun as long as the game is fairly short. But if it's a longer game, Monopoly, then you have just a bunch of people sitting around not doing anything. That's not fun. So anyway.
Although the whole point of Monopoly was to teach you that monopolies are terrible. So
Yeah, well, it was supposed to, but
I thought it was to break up families.
no, apparently that's diplomacy, which I've never played, but I've heard that's what the purpose of that game is. So, Ray, what are you watching?
I have been watching a YouTube channel called Theme Stop. They are giving updates on Universal Studios Epic Universe, which is the new. Hi, dog.
Sorry, our dog's having a moment. He's fine.
He's fine. He's just got a cough, and he won't stop. Hey, you're
okay.
fine.
There we go.
Anyway, so yeah, Theme Stop is the name of it. They get there's a person with a helicopter that is flying around Florida, particularly around Universal Studios, and taking aerial photographs of these different locations and providing updates. And then so she goes through and gives you the updates. She also pulls permitry from the Freedom of Rights the Freedom of Right to Know or whatever it is down in Florida. And so she pulls all the permitry and she goes through what they think is going to happen in the different rides, she believes it's being called, and like how it's going to work. So she does a great job. I've really enjoyed the updates because we're
hooked. We're like
I want to go in. So it looks awesome. So it's not just one theme park; it's actually 5 all combined. You've got Celestial theme park, which is in the middle, and then you've got the 4 parks around it. One is the Nintendo universe. One is How to Train Your Dragon. One is Harry Potter, set in the 1920s. And then the last one is the Dark Universe, which is all the classic monsters of the Mummy and all that stuff. So looks fantastic. I'm really excited to get down there at some point and check it out. So that's what I've been watching. Every time there's a new video, all 4 of us will sit down and watch it.
It's become a little
cool.
Yeah, and like sometimes they're about 15-20 minutes, and
sometimes they're longer.
Sometimes they're longer, sometimes they're shorter. So yeah.
I was gonna say, so is Universal okay with her doing this, or is she basically just like the law says I can do this, so you can't really say anything against me anyway? Or
public information, like
so that's it's public information. It's like the person that does the photographs, they can't stop them from doing it. So it's not that they don't want her to do it, but they can't stop her from doing it. And then it's also, this is free advertising for them right now. And like she has the community like just ready and chomping at the bit for it. So if I was Universal, I would let her just sponsor her. Oh, hell yeah.
And see, that's what I was just about to say. I would be like if not just giving her all the information, I would just be like maybe clarifying some stuff and just being like, hey, by the way, you said this, that, and the other. Actually, but you're right. She's obviously got a group of people that are super interested in it. I would be hyping that up as much as possible. Yeah. So, because it's not like there's any other, large theme park there in Florida that people are interested in going to. So, yeah.
Well, awesome. The fun thing about this, so it's the first new first new theme park in America in the last 20 years, and a major one anyway. And what she said, normally she can't pull the permits because if it's a retrofit or if it's something else, then she can't pull that because as long as they keep one wall, they don't have to disclose anything. But if it's a brand new building, then they have to disclose the whole thing. So that's why she's able to pull these permits. And
that's cool.
But she's been following it since they announced it, like back in 2018. So.
Harry Potter and How to Train Your Dragon and Mario, of course, those all make total sense to me. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with the classic monster stuff. It sounds like it could be awesome. I'm just like, what are they going to do with this?
If you haven't watched these videos, Eugene, I suggest you do.
Okay.
I'm really excited for like. Everybody I've been listening to about it is more excited about what's happening with Dark Universe than the others. Now, the others are going to be good and fun, and I know you're excited about Harry Potter because it's the 1920s
in Paris.
In Paris, but But the one I'm most excited about is Dark Universe.
Yeah, Dark Universe sounds interesting. I mean, if I go, I'm gonna have to go visit the Nintendo stuff just because everything that's come out of the other Nintendo park right now, everyone's just like, this is so much fun. So,
have you seen the Donkey Kong roller coaster?
Yes, I have seen that. I have seen that.
So that's coming there as well, and it looks awesome. Like they've done a great job with it. So,
yeah, the boys are for this is a late kind of birthday thing because we were in the middle of moving when it was their actual birthday. This last Monday, we took them and their cousin Kendall and 3 of their friends and went to this place, and it's actually in Pflugerville, but it's called Austin's. It's right outside of Austin, and basically, it's like you could set up kind of the little party thing where they have pizza and there's a room or whatever, and then they give them all like a $10 game card or whatever, but then they can go do mini golf, bumper boats. There's a little roller coaster. There's go-karts. Like there's just a crap laser tag. There's just a crap ton of stuff to do. And it was nice because being 12 and them being in a little group, like Christy and I just sat around and let them, we did go play miniature golf, but we just let them go do whatever. And it was just like, yeah, we need to go back to a big amusement park because now we don't have to worry about, because like they were 6 the first time they went. So it was like midday, we got to go take a nap because they're getting cranky. And
taking teenagers to an amusement park is awesome.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do that. So not anytime soon though, because I'm paying for a new house, but Cyrus, you been watching anything?
Yeah, actually, they're doing a mini series. I keep going back to this Walking Dead stuff.
Okay.
They're doing, I think this might be the last of the new ones that they're introducing, and it's the Michonne and Rick one.
Oh, okay.
So it's only 6 episodes. They've done 3. It's okay. it's not like spectacular, but it's okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So I just want to see.
Is this like set far in the future? Is this roughly right after the events of The Walking Dead, or?
Yeah, they had shown some stuff in the previous stuff, like leading up to this.
Mm-hmm.
All of the last seasons of the last several shows have had some scene that ties into this. So, like the last thing I watched was the Daryl show. The one that it was pretty good, and there was a scene at the end of that is like the first scene of this. So. It's all in the same time span. I just want to see how it ends. I just want to see, what's going on with these characters at the end. Some surprises for sure. There's some things I was like, oh, okay, we're going to do that. All right. I'm not saying it's spectacular because it's not, but it's okay.
Fair enough.
Does it fill out the story more? Does it like add more to the whole like Walking Dead universe?
Well, I mean,
you're selling it well.
I mean, the Walking Dead universe was interesting for about 4 years. Okay. And then it really started to get kind of like samey and repeat and kind of doing the same thing over. And this is kind of familiar. It's like stuff that's like, okay. I haven't seen anything that I was just like, oh my God, that's amazing. The Daryl show had a couple of things that I thought were really cool. This one, this one's okay. It's more like the acting is really good. They have really good actors. But as far as the story, and there's a lot of the same stuff that we've already seen, just repackaged, and it's like, let's just get this over with, guys. Let's just let's wrap this thing up. I want to see Andrew Lincoln go on and do movies. Let's get this Walking Dead thing behind him and move on and do other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Cool.
Okay.
Yay! It's awesome.
I'm watching. I actually just finished last night. In fact, I stayed up a little late last night to finish it. I just finished season 1 of the live action Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix. It's funny because I've talked to some people about this, and like one buddy in particular is like, he's like, he's very much, he's like, if they don't have something new to talk about, a new reason to do it, I don't really see the purpose. And they have added some stuff. The thing is, though, is that show was 3 seasons long, and being, a 23-minute cartoon, there were 20 episodes, I think, of each season. So there's a lot of stuff that happens. And they're basically condensing that first 20 episode season down to 8 almost hour-long episodes. Mm-hmm. So they are still having to cut some stuff. That being said, I don't remember. I think they've actually moved around some stuff, because part of it's like they start giving some backstory on some characters. I'm just like, was it that early in the series that we found out why this person's doing what they're doing? I thought that was more like season 2, season 3, when they start to become more relatable. But maybe not. And like I said, I haven't gone back and done. I need to find someone who's done not necessarily a shot by shot, but a pretty close comparison to be able to say, yeah, you remember that correctly, because this flashback scene didn't happen until season 2, whatever. But overall, I've enjoyed it. My biggest concern with it was, being a TV show, I was afraid that, they're going to be constricted by their budget. So the amount of bending so in the series, there's 4 groups of people who can, and it's called bending, but basically it's manipulate fire, earth, wind, and water. And they use it to fight very much in a martial arts style. And so, like, as they're doing a spin kick or whatever, their foot may catch on fire and either make contact or actually shoot out a fireball or something. But they do some really inventive stuff with it. And I was afraid that, it's going to be kind of limited. Very much not the case. Like, they are very, there is a lot of fighting and a lot of special effects in the show. Surprisingly, it's funny because the Honest Trailers actually just did a trailer for it. And they're like, there's so many special effects in this show, they've gone all the way back around to it being animated now. So, which I thought was funny. But I think the kids that they got, they're not the most dynamic actors, but I think they're putting their hearts into it, and they're trying. And Netflix announced they're going to go ahead and give them both season 2 and season 3, which tells me it's obviously well liked, because Netflix right now is not doing that. Netflix is like, all right, you get a second season, and then more often than not, that third season is when people start getting, seeing bigger raises. That's when they cut it off, and they've already said, no, y'all have season 2 and season 3 so they can complete the story. So it must be doing well, or at least well enough that Netflix wants to see it finished.
Yeah.
What?
Remind me to send you a video about somebody. He's talking about this kind of thing where the streaming services, something's coming to a head here, because it's getting worse. So yeah,
they're totally killing a bunch of stuff left and right. Like, it's, it used to be, especially during COVID, but before COVID, it was like, yeah, we've got crap tons of money, just green light everything.
Yeah.
And now it's very much selected. Like, what was it? I heard about something the other day. Someone was talking about some show. Someone was shopping around, and they literally, pretty much all the streaming services told them, yeah, if it was like 3 years ago, we totally would have picked this up and run with it. But it's a different world now. Like, we do not have the budget to do that. Like, if it's very much like the old networks used to be. It's like, if you are not hitting a certain quota by a certain time, sorry. It didn't used to necessarily be that way, because it used to, they would put out multiple seasons, and they waited for the long tail. It was fine if people didn't start catching on a year or so after it was on. But now that's not the case. Now you better hit it and hit on fire. If not, it's, you're probably not coming back.
I'm still seeing.
I was just gonna say, we're seeing a lot of that in the gaming industry as well. Like, it's just not what it was. For sure.
What were you saying, Ray?
I'm still hopeful for the Bobaverse books to be turned into a series, because it should be able to be fairly low budget.
It's one guy doing almost every role. You would think that would not be that hard. So
we're gonna have to cut some of these voices. We're gonna
yeah. So in the Bobiverse books side, the main character Bob, it's set way in the future. He's, long story short, he becomes basically a sentient computer, and as he clones himself, he finds out every clone is a little bit different. And so as you start getting several generations, it's literally like talking to it's like talking to almost maybe an alternate version of yourself. So you still, certain things still have the same interest. So like they're all still geeks. They're all, the same thing that makes one laugh pretty much makes them all laugh. They're all still very interested in exploring space. They're all very much interested in learning and stuff. But yeah, they start get into arguments about how they should go about doing things or whatever. But it's all in the simulation that they're in, they all look pretty much the same. They just dress differently. So yes, if they were going to do this as a series or a movie, you'd have to find one actor to basically play like 90% of the roles. So, which depending on the actor, that might be a dream job for them.
Oh,
there's a lot of people that are just like, oh hell yeah, I want to play everything. So
yeah, I can think of a few that would do it.
Not Ryan Reynolds.
No,
he would not be right for this. So
no, he's the wrong Bob.
Yeah.
All right, Ray. We have listening to, thinking about, and doing.
What about?
I think we're doing a Rob. I
was going to kind of do like a Rob.
Okay. I'll just keep it going. Listening.
Okay. What are you listening
to? So The Watcher, the YouTube channel, The Watcher. They have a podcast. I've been listening to their podcast, and they have a particular series called For Your Amusement, which is all about theme parks. Again, it's about, in this particular case, it's about rides and whether they're world class or not. So they kind of go through the history of the ride. They go through kind of like just, I don't know, some really what they like about it, what they maybe don't really like about it, and then they go through a series of kind of benchmarks to see if it's a world-class ride or not, and if it like really holds up or not. So it's kind of fun. I enjoy listening to it, and I don't know. I've always loved the behind the scenes and the stories of how the theme rides come. So yeah,
I didn't know that was such a subgenre of thing. Like I know people like amusement parks and stuff like that, but until I found what's the one we've talked about multiple times, the guy who does the history on theme parks and specific rides and Defunctland. Yes, until I discovered Defunctland, I was like, wow, I didn't realize this was as big a thing as it was. Because Lainey's even told me she listens to like 2 different podcasts about just the stuff that happens in the Disney parks. Like it's not about the movies, it's not about like it's just about all the stuff going around in the parks. I'm just like, I didn't realize that was such a big subculture. It's almost to the point, back when cable was in its heyday and we had channels for every individual thing, I could have almost seen a cable channel devoted to just amusement parks, to be honest with you.
Yep.
So
yeah, because there's some really fun stuff happening. So yes.
Very cool. Cyrus, you listen to anything?
No, not really.
No podcasts, no audiobooks.
The epically geeky podcast.
No music.
No.
Really? Okay.
No.
Fair enough. No, that's fair enough.
I've been busy, I'm doing a lot of collaborations with people, and it takes up a lot of my time. And
that's awesome.
So yeah, we're busy, and
so
not
you're
sleeping, huh?
You're listening for offers.
I guess so. Yeah. Listening. You know what? I was listening to, sometimes I'll get on these kicks where I'll listen to I'm listening and watching, but I'll watch like these videos where it's like those singing shows where they compete, and it's like some video will catch my eye because it'll show up in my suggestion feed, and it'll be like, oh, they weren't ready for her. They didn't expect her to sound like that or something. And I'm like, okay, let me see what that is. It'll be like 3 hours of like all these surprising performances, and you're like, oh my God, she could sing, you know?
Yep.
I get addicted to what I really appreciate watching young people get excited about being like accomplishing something, you know, like feeling like maybe they don't suck, you know. I like seeing people happy, you know. So I don't know. I watch that kind of stuff sometimes. It's fun.
Nice.
That's cute.
I've honestly not been listening to anything new. Like I've shit, I need to check my Audible account now that I think about it. I don't wonder how many credits I've got accrued. Anyway, I've just kind of been going back since I've been at work and then like, you know, packing stuff at home. I've just kind of been putting on stuff that's on in the background that I'm used to, you know, that I already know, as Kris likes to call it, whale song stuff that I don't have to be actively listening to. It's soothing to listen to.
Whale songs.
But then something came across my social media, and then it was finally released, and it was his way to promote his new movie. Am I the only person that sometimes listens to the same song on repeat, just because, especially when it's new, just because it?
No, I do.
Oh no, I listened to that James Bond Billie Eilish song like 500 times. Like,
Fair enough. Okay.
yeah.
My current obsession is the rock cover of "Baby One More Time" by Tenacious D. Someone mentioned it online, and I'm just like, if Tenacious D did a rock cover album of different pop songs, I would buy it in a heartbeat. Number one, I like Tenacious D. They're just fun.
Yeah.
But just his bend on it, just his voice, it's just very fun. It's very energetic. It does have, you know, a guitar, you know, that's rocking in it. And I'm just like, I'm digging the hell out of this. This is great.
Awesome.
And what's funny is like he was promoting it. He recorded now the whole song's like 3 minutes, you know, it's a typical song. He put out a minute and a half, maybe 2 minute video. And it's all stuff he recorded on the red carpet. So it's literally him going around and recording his co-stars and stuff. And like, and I'm just like, this is fantastic. Like, of course, you know, what's his name is doing this, but it's good. I really enjoy it. If you haven't heard it, go look it up. Baby One More Time, Tenacious D. It literally just dropped. It's the only song that's on there, but it's on the Kung Fu Panda 4 soundtrack.
Yeah.
So
okay. I'll check that out. You reminded me about those mashups I was watching. I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
I love those. I'm discovering that has been a godsend.
I love listening to rock and even metal. I can handle some metal versions, but I love hearing rock and metal versions of other songs. It's something about getting that hard edge to a song that just normally isn't there. Like there's I'm pretty sure I've talked about it on this show before. But there's this group on YouTube that I've started following, and like they did like a rock version of the song from Moana.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's fantastic, and like they did a rock version of Kiss from a Rose, and I'm just like, I would have never pictured this as like a hard rock version, but I'm like, it's great. It doesn't hurt that the guy's got great vocals, but I'm just like, this is give me a hard rock version of everything at this point. Like, I'm good to go.
Would you ever try punk?
Yeah, no, I've definitely listened to some punk covers.
Well,
me first in the gimmies.
All right, well, send it to me after the show because I'll have to look that up. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me first in the gimmies. They do like Somewhere Over the Rainbow. They do. There's a bunch of musicals that they've done. They've done Phantom of the Opera. They've done name it. They've covered it.
It's so fun.
It's
super
all
cute.
fun.
Yeah.
Nice. You'll have to check that out. So Kris, are you listening to anything?
Yes, I'm listening to Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, that is narrated by Reporter, because it is the pick for this.
Because it's a good book.
Well, that, and it's a pick for next month of this other book club that I joined. So I'm listening to that again. And I just, like Ray Porter is starting to get up there with Jim Dale for me in terms of like soothing voice. He's got a very nice voice. I do enjoy listening to him. This time I am remembering that it's not a Bob book. It is an Andy Weir book.
Yes. But it's difficult.
But no, it's easier this time. There's been enough time. There's been enough time. I think we did like almost a back-to-back between Bob and Verson.
It was close. And if you go to Bob now, you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
But so that's what I'm listening to now. And then before that, I was listening to Patrick Stewart's book.
Okay.
And I could listen to that man talk all day. Oh, it's awesome. It was so good.
I'll be honest with you. His voice and his energy for his talking about the theater is the only thing that kept me going, because I'm not a big theater person. So I'm just like, when do you get into the Star Trek stuff, dude? I hate to be that guy, but it's Patrick Stewart.
Yeah. I had you in mind when I was listening to that, because he starts theater when he's 12, right? Like he starts it when he's 12 and he continues it
his entire life.
I mean, he doesn't get his first movie role till he's 35. So, I mean, like to have that huge span, and I recognize some of the names, not a lot, but just like, I just thought it was cool that he's had this massive career, that there's a good chunk of it that nobody, unless you were like super niche theater geek, would know about. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, because to me, it felt like when he was name dropping and he knew he was doing the name dropping of the theater people, I'm just like, okay. No. And then he's just like, oh yeah, so me and Michael went and had lunch. He's like, Michael Dorn, like it's just like, Michael went and had, and we had burritos and it was great. And I'm just like, what? So,
yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, so that's it. That's what I'm listening to.
Nice. Cyrus, you can pick what you're thinking about, what you're doing.
You really want to know what I'm thinking about now?
Sure, why not?
I don't know. What am I thinking about, or what am I doing? Still doing, I don't know. I'm kind of, I've decided to start collecting DVDs.
Okay. Tell me about this.
I haven't really gotten started on it yet, but I'm determined to do it. And the reason is because I have bought a bunch of digital movies on PlayStation, and I have had them taken from me. Mm-hmm. Sony has killed my licenses that I bought for several of the movies that I bought. And I was very upset about that. And I was thinking, man, I just want to do some physical format of movie that people can't take from me. And I don't really care if it's like 4K or nothing, and I think DVDs look pretty damn good. I think they look fine. And I'm just going to get older and my eyes are just going to get worse. So I'm like, DVDs are cheap as hell. You can find them, and it's fun to go looking for stuff. So I'm going to start looking. I'm going to start going looking for DVDs and building a movie collection that I can just watch whenever I want. And I'm not looking for anything in particular. I just want to go look and see what there is and find some good deals and watch some movies I either haven't ever seen or hadn't seen in a long time, Yeah. I want to watch more movies. I really do.
So, I feel like there's going to be a push to go back to physical.
There is. Go on.
So the push is definitely started. The fun thing is, there's a bunch of scientists that have already started working on the next format of basically what a DVD was. And it's on a disc the same size as a DVD and a Blu-ray. They're able to fit over, it's like a petabyte of data.
Yes, I saw that. I'm very interested in how that's going to work and how fast that disc is going to have to spin.
My concern is just like fingerprints. Like if you're literally you're putting data on like an atom, something the size of an atom, and like a fingerprint's going to be a massive problem. Whereas with DVD, it's just like, I don't fucking care, it's whatever.
My understanding, and Ray, maybe you know something about this, is that the data is actually not on the top layer or anything. It's inside. It's like multiple layers.
There are multiple layers depending on how far the light reaches in.
Yeah.
So
how the hell is this going to work?
Well, it's got to diffract somewhat.
It is.
we have disc rot for older disc stuff. How's that going to affect something that's multiple layers?
These are supposed to be better than the storage devices that we have now.
Wasn't the disc rot primarily though cheap burnable disc? Like I haven't heard a lot about.
No, it's not. No, there's a major problem with CDs that were pressed in the 90s.
Really?
And early DVDs, yes. In fact, I have a couple of Sega Saturn games that have disc rot, which is
there any way to combat it?
No, it destroys as
soon as the layer's done, you're done.
Yeah. It's the reflective layer that it's rotting out, and then when that's gone, you can't do anything. It's gone.
So, and that's what I think the difference between the old style of doing DVDs and this new petabyte disc is that it's actually a part of the disc that they're altering for the data.
Yeah.
Like a record, right? But it's a record essentially. That you can have multiple layers within one. So it's like having multiple records, and the sound wave could pick up on different layers essentially.
It's interesting. It's very interesting.
Why did you pick DVD over, say, Blu-ray?
That's a good question. So I'm not opposed to owning Blu-ray either, but the DVD format is compatible with those as well, those older TVs. And it's, like I said, I think and also I will say this, there's the biggest reason that I picked DVD, that I'm focusing on DVD, is because the bonus features on DVDs are way more comprehensive than any other format.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
And so the point is to buy a movie I want to watch and then have a lot of supplemental content for it too available. So it's a good value. If you're not like all hung up on, oh, this isn't 4K or this isn't 1080p, if you're just watching the movie to watch the movie. I mean, I have plenty of DVDs that look fantastic on my TV, and they're not even HD, So it's not that big a deal to me as long as I get, a good experience and hopefully a good price.
Yeah, you're not the only one I've heard talk about in different podcasts where people are like, yeah, I'm going to start collecting. And I think they said the same thing. They're like, I don't care if it's DVD or Blu-ray. He's like, I just want a disc that someone cannot take it out of my hand. Of course, technically speaking, there are some Blu-ray discs that, that could feasibly happen.
Well,
you have to check in with
the
software, but
there's also some really good deals on Blu-ray. I saw a Christopher Nolan collection that was like $40-something, and it had like 7 of his movies or something. And I was like, that's pretty damn good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just comes down to, yes, you're right. There are certain situations where just because you own a disc, that doesn't mean it's, going to be forever. But I'll tell you what, it's a whole lot more likely that I'll be able to keep my movies, at least most of them, and have a good experience with them than have them just evaporate into the ether for no freaking reason. And now I don't have any movies.
Yeah.
That was a massive fail on their part. So
yeah, I was very disappointed. Yeah, I was not happy about that. Let me tell you what really pissed me off. I'll tell you the moment I got pissed, because I started to download my movies off of PlayStation onto my PS3. Because on the PS3, you can actually download the movie and save it on your hard drive. Okay. So I had bought the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the extended edition, and I downloaded the first movie. It was fine. I downloaded the Two Towers. It's fine. I went to download the Return of the King. You no longer own the license to this. I was like, what? And so then if I don't have all 3, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
You have to, right. So that was the last straw. I was like, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I get that.
Yep.
No, I'll never buy another digital movie ever. I'll never do it again.
I hardly ever watch movies now, so I'm to the point that I find it on streaming, and if I can't find it on streaming, a lot of times I'm like, well, I'm just going to rent it. It is what it is, and sometimes it's maybe $1 difference, but I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm still in that DVD mentality of, do I want to own a disc that I'm never going to, watch? Do I want to have this thing sitting in my library that I'm never going to watch again? And
well, I want to, you know what? I'm trying to reestablish a relationship with movies. I'm trying to have that experience, look at the cover, read the stuff on it, see what's inside, look at the extra features, maybe listen to the director's commentaries, like I'm trying to like get away from this garbage entertainment and find some good stuff that, if I waste so much time, I waste a lot of time watching nonsense, and I'm like, I want to watch good stuff. I want to watch, like, there's so many amazing movies that I've either never seen or not seen in forever. And I'm like, I want to spend my time doing that. And then maybe I can talk about that stuff on my channel or whatever, like maybe I can add this as like something that gives me something more to talk about than BS going on the internet. Who cares about that? I'm just trying to take back my entertainment,
Yeah,
That's fair.
yeah, I compare sitting down, and sometimes I'm like, I just need to let my brain rot. And it's like I'm eating digital potato chips, shorts, reels, whatever it is. And I know what they are. I know I'm just eating potato chips. They're not good for me. They're not nutritious. I'm not getting anything out of it. Every so often you find something that's interesting. Hey, here's a new way that you can use this tool, something like that. But most of it is just garbage. And so, yeah, I'm like you said, I'm comparing it to, I can either waste 20 minutes watching, eating potato chips, or I can actually go have a meal and watch an episode or a movie or something that was thought out, written, produced, directed. Like there was effort put into it besides just, here's my camera and I'm gonna do a little dance for 30 seconds or whatever. So, but yeah.
I saw Dune 2 recently in IMAX, and y'all need to see that.
yeah.
I had not seen Dune 1. I specifically waited for the second one to come out. And so literally I watched it the other night on Max, and then it was either the next day or the day after I went and saw the second one. So it's to the point I'm like, oh, I may have to read this book. Like this is interesting enough that, because I mean we've heard about Dune forever. It is one of the kind of sci-fi pillars, but it never was enough to grab me. And now I'm just like, no, this might be interesting enough to put my time into. So,
Mannon's read all the stuff, Frank Herbert and his son's stuff. Like he's read all that stuff, and we had some good conversation after watching that movie because we love. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but the David Lynch movie is still awesome. We love the old school Dune. It's still cool, but we finally conceded after watching this movie that this is really the best Dune. This is it's really good. Yeah,
I'm tempted. I've heard a lot of people say, no, just go in with an open mind and rewatch it. Just let it be what it is. Just let it be what it is.
Yeah. That's exactly right. The old Dune is it's a thing to itself. It's not like, I mean, you have to just think of it like its own, like, it's like you go see a performance, like a play or something, and you're like, oh, that's an interesting take on, that's what Dune, the 86 Dune is. Yeah.
Right. Nice.
but I love David Lynch anyway. So I find him infinitely fascinating, like the stuff that he does. So I can rewatch any David Lynch, anything, and enjoy it. But yeah, he's one of my favorite directors. But I like weird stuff.
Put that back on my to-do list. We'll see. So
you're not gonna do it.
I don't know. I like I said, some nights I'm just like, you know what? Instead of trying to start another series, maybe I'll just watch a movie because it's more of a one-shot type thing. So
my buddy Max. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, the Mad Max Movies and Entertainment guy. He's collecting VHS tapes. And
okay, see, now that's I can't. That's the path I can't follow.
I know you can't, because we're in the same boat, because we have a different relationship to videotape than your average person. So I was so glad to be rid of videotape.
Yes.
And so he's talking about, yeah, man, I've picked this up and picked that up. And when you come up here to visit, we're going to go tape hunting. And I'm like, no, we're not. Like, and then, and then I was like, you know what? Yeah, we'll go. He can look for tapes. I'll look for DVDs.
There you
go. We'll find stuff to buy, you know?
There you go.
I don't understand. There's a nostalgia that people have for VHS that I'm like, okay, it's okay. I understand. People have nostalgias for things that other people don't like.
As he holds up the controller.
So I get that. But VHS tape is like, it's exactly like this. It's like the Intellivision. It's a bridge too far.
It still works. The VHS tapes are not going to be around much longer. You want to talk about breaking
okay,
down.
that's the other. Yes. You're buying a format that's literally dying. I mean, it's falling apart. It's not good. It was never good. It was good enough, but it was never good.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, because we had 4-head VCRs and we thought that was amazing. And then there was Super VHS and it was like, yeah. But the first time you ever watched a DVD, you were like, I never, ever, ever want to touch another videotape ever again.
I could not switch to DVD fast enough. Let me tell you.
No. I'm telling you, we rented the DVD player and Stigmata. The movie Stigmata.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was another movie too, but I remember vividly watching Stigmata and just being like, I'm never going back. I'm getting a PlayStation 2 as soon as it comes out, and that's it. I have a DVD player, and I'm buying all of my movies again on DVD, and that's, you know.
Yep, exactly.
But you know what? But some people, he also likes cassette tapes, like audio cassette tapes. And I'm like, you know, it's just some kind of, it's like a tangible thing. It's like
I'll admit Foo Fighters' new album was released on tape. I did buy the tape because I wanted that nostalgia for that one thing.
But is that the primary way you're listening to it? No, exactly. And I get that. I get having.
I have the tape.
Yeah.
It was awesome to pull out the sleeve and go through the song.
Oh, yeah. I get that. Yeah, I get that. It's like a record or a tape or he's even buying 8 tracks. I can't do 8 tracks, but like he's doing, I get the connection you have to these things. I get it. And when you press play on your Walkman and you hear the it's got a certain thing. I actually could appreciate the audio cassette tapes more than the other stuff. Cause I kind of get that. Cause I spent a lot of time, you know, playing a cassette with like, you know, a bunch of songs I recorded off the radio. And I can I get the nostalgia there. The VHS thing for us, I mean, I just personally, that's I would love to own a record player. And there's a few, you know, I was talking with, I think it was Max I was talking to about this the other day. I said, I'd like to have a record player. And believe it or not, most of the records I want to buy are like Christmas records. I want to buy, and that's because I have this memory of my grandmother during Christmas time playing Bing Crosby and, you know, all these, you know, Christmas songs on the record player while we're sitting around, you know, and I want to recreate that. That's what I want. It would be cool also to get some albums, you know, but that's, I don't know. And that's why I can't really say too much about anybody that has some specific thing that they get hooked up on. They're like, or hung up on, like, oh, I got to have that one. Cause like I said, I like the Intellivision. No, there's no reason to do this. These games are extremely ancient. I mean, they're pre-NES games. They look like little blobs on the screen, but there's something, you know, so I can't really say anything. You know, other people have their connections to things. So
absolutely. I get it. What am I doing? I'm relaxing. I have done a few things around my mom's house to repair a few things here and there. Like today, I fixed a drawer that was there was an issue anyway. But otherwise, I have specifically like all my making stuff is packed up. I do the Discord server we have for the Ghostbusters. People are posting where they're working on stuff, and I'm like, oh, that would be cool. I like that idea. I could start working on something. I could start learning something, and I'm like, no, just watch movies. Just watch movies and get caught up on TV shows, and that's what you're doing for the next 3 weeks. And I keep forcing myself to doing it, and I'm enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. Like I've gotten caught up on several TV series. I finally got to watch several movies like Dune and Dune 2. I'm enjoying it, but there is part of me that's just like chomping at the bit to start working on something again. But like I said, I am forcing myself to try to relax as much as possible because I know I need it. Because I'm going to be really busy for whoever knows how long, getting the new house set up. And then I'll be super excited to get my new shop set up. And then at that point, it still blows my mind. I'm going to have a dedicated place to work. Like I can come home, hang out with Christy and the boys, have dinner. And if I want to, I can go into a shop and I can work for a couple hours and then I can just walk out. Like I don't have to take 30 minutes to set up everything on the dining room table and then work on something for an hour and then break everything back down because I can't leave stuff out because of the cats or just because it'll be in the way for dinner tomorrow night or whatever. And I'm going to have a dedicated place to work. And it blows my mind that that's coming. But yeah, I'm trying to relax, just trying to, like I said, get caught up on stuff. And there's a lot of things I'd like to be doing, but I'm just sitting here with the laptop usually at night. Chrissy's watching TV on the TV in the little bedroom that we're in, and I'm sitting here on the laptop and just cranking through shows and movies and stuff. So it's been fun. So finally getting caught up on some stuff. And I'm like, oh, so hey, have y'all heard about this cool thing? Yeah, of course y'all have, because everyone else watched it 3 years ago. So,
yeah.
But anyway, so that's what I've been
Tiger
doing.
King was a thing.
I know, right? Kris, what have you been doing?
So kind of two things. The first is Ray put some shelves in it's kind of a pantry. It's this little extra space going down the stairs. And it's useful, but they only had the previous owners only put in like 3 shelves. So it's kind of useful, but not.
It wasn't great.
So he did.
They weren't built well.
No. And so he did that for me, put 3 extra shelves in. So I've been kind of fiddling around with that, and then really kind of what was that?
Don't know what happened.
I was like, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll stop.
I guess Kris is done.
No, right? That was interesting.
Show everybody.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Go on, Kris.
So I've been trying not to go down too deep of a rabbit hole of trying to make like a functional food storage pantry because I just don't want to have stuff in the house and then it go expire. So like using it, rotating the items and things like that. So I'm trying to figure out that and what works best for us. Also keeping in mind that we're having a kid who's leaving in September, and so we're down a person, and yeah. But she's still gonna, when she comes home, she's still gonna.
I was gonna say, so our bills will pretty much be the same or go up a little bit, and there's gonna be one less person.
Yeah. So I've been really researching that and just trying to make it as efficient as possible based on the stuff that we like to eat and what I like to make and stuff. So it's interesting. My inner prepper, who's not very well developed, is like screaming at me like, you have to have a year's stock of food in case shit hits the fan. I'm like, I don't do that. So I also want to learn how to do it so it's useful and we're not wasting money and I'm not just panic buying.
Apparently we should stock up on toilet paper because that was the first.
I know, right?
But I want to have it so it's functional so that if, in case of emergency, we had a tornado rip through here like 15 years
long time
ago,
ago,
but that's not to say that it wouldn't happen again. And so things like that. And like with you guys with the electrical, like all your snowstorm that just like collapsed your grid, things like that. It was back up again, but like, you know, just stuff like that. And I did go to a hippie college. And so that's never left me. And then the other thing I'm doing is I'm trying to create a routine. I can't do habits. I have to make them a routine where I'm writing every day. And I get into that. So I actually like feel the pull and urge to actually do it. And so when I don't do it, I miss it. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm working on creating that routine. I'm
very anxious and excited to read your stuff at some point. I really would like to do that.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm reworking it. I'm excited about it. I'm like, and it's also really helpful for me because it's working through a lot of issues that I have. So I'm talking to my therapist about it, and she's been really great for it and encouraging, and yeah, she's really cool. And then, I mean, this guy, so he's been reading all of it, and he's come up with some good stuff. You've come up with some really good ideas. And I'm like, oh, I gotta write that down.
Well, now really, come on, guys. You're teasing me here. Come on. It's not fair.
That's what I've been doing, and really actively being like, gotta make it part of the routine, because I thrive in a routine. I love routine. I get very is annoyed the right word? I don't know. When my routine gets thrown off over an extended period of time, I get
uncomfortable.
I get very uncomfortable. I get very uncomfortable.
That's happening to us right now. Is it's very
I get stressed
uncomfortable
out.
Because
and then because I noticed Logan's only got 2 classes this semester, so she's home in the morning. You'd think that wouldn't disrupt because she's on her own, but it's like it does.
And you're still getting used to me being home Mondays and Fridays.
And he's home, so it's all enough of a disruption where my routine from months before got all thrown off. And anyway, so yeah, trying to
recover since Christmas. Essentially.
So creating I've been doing that pantry again. This is my own thing. This is my own little house project. Nobody's asked me to do that. But I finally have enough space to actually really make a good go of it. And I understand it's like it's a long goal, like it's a long project. And then, create a routine so that writing does become part of my everyday without thinking about it. Here we go. And my brain just gets really used to doing that and can kick into that mode when I need it to. Because right now it's not. And
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, you know, Cyrus.
I might know a little bit about it. Writing is incredibly difficult. You have it's not coming up with stuff that's that difficult.
No,
it's focusing so you can be in that moment as it's being written. It's a lot of plates you have to spin to make that happen. It's very difficult. So I appreciate that.
Well, while knowing where you want the story to go, but also allowing the story to go where it's going.
There's a word that a lot of people throw around these days: organic. Trying to be organic. Yeah, that is literally impossible. You'll try to get there, and you'll never get there, and you'll always be like, let me read this again and go back over it and be like, and then what I hate. This I don't know if this ever happened to you, but you'll write and you'll be going good. You'll have written like hundreds of pages. You'll be really far into something, and then you'll realize you made a mistake. Mm-hmm. Something in the timeline, or something at the certain character, or something, or you'll get a better idea. Like something will, and you'll be like, I'm gonna have to scrap all this and start this over.
That's what happens to me. Is it's not so much that I made a mistake; it's the idea part.
The better idea, yeah. Well, that's going to happen because you're going to be in that world. When the longer you're in that space, the better your understanding of what really needs to be happening is going to happen. You know.
Yeah.
That's why when I'm reading it and I'm like, is this what you're meaning?
Yeah, he said
Is this where you're going? Is this what you're? I haven't thought of that yet.
I didn't think about that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the downside to having somebody like help while you're doing it, because they can give you a better idea, and you're like, no, you're right. I should have done that.
There's one that I won't spoil it, but there's one that she came up with, and she was telling me, and I'm like, so is it this? Because I think that would be cool if it was like this. And she's like, let me write that down.
I got excited and I was like, oh my God, it's amazing.
What did you say when you were crocheting or the blankets, and you said you get several rows and you look back and you're like, crap, there's a, did you call it frogging or something?
You have to frog it.
That's what this is essentially frogging for writing, is what it, it sounds like. It's a great it's looking back multiple lines and being like, crap, I have to undo all of the work back to this point. And
Ray, do you go through that when you paint stuff? Is that something that happens? It does. Yeah. Okay.
What I will say is, so and I can't wait for it to start back up again. I wanted to challenge myself, because I found that like with my drawings or stuff, like I'll get going and it's like I didn't like how this was flowing, or so I'll toss that aside and start a different one. Sometimes I go back to it. Sometimes I leave it long enough and now it's on the wall, which does happen. So there's, for me, what I had to learn was when to stop. So not reworking it, not going into it anymore. When a painting is done or a drawing is done, it's done, and I don't touch it, and I seal it on myself so that I don't go back and touch it up. Because that's when you can get, and you can go back in and fuck it up even more.
You know, Kris, I don't know how you write, but when I write, I have a method that I implement that does exactly what Ray just suggested, which is it locks things into a certain version of what's happening. I write to music. Like I'll listen. We were talking about music earlier, so I'll listen. I'll find certain soundtracks to movies or something, and I'll create based on what I'm listening to. And if I can match it up to the music, then every time I listen to that music, I'm playing the scene out. And I'm playing out whatever's going on with the character, or playing, the emotions of the time or whatever. So if I can keep all that in my head, then that gives me like sort of an archive to pull from when I start to actually get to the points where I'm writing it. I just play that song and get it in, and I'm just sort of like, once you've visualized it to the music and you have that in your memory, then that will definitely help you stay where you need to be. I will say it's very tempting to, when you get what you think is a better idea, to just go, oh, let me do what we were just saying. Let me scrap this stuff and back it up. But a lot of times, even though that might seem like it's a good idea, it might not be a good idea. It's tough to know, right? It's tough to know, like, should I change this, or should I stick with this and hold that idea for something else? It's tough. It's tough.
It is tough. I get most of my initial ideas from songs. So I'll hear a song and I can see a lyric or a line will just knock something in my head, and I'm like, holy crap. So that's the song that starts the idea. So it's so right now I have a song that's basically started off this story that I'm writing, and I have a couple more where the songs correlate to the ideas and themes of the story. But what I have to do, so it's no amount of music or silence or anything, is I have to write out, I have to know how it ends. Because if I don't know how it ends, I get stuck. And when I get stuck, I have to stop.
I cannot do endings at all. I'm terrible with ending things. I'm like Stephen King. I don't want it to end ever.
I was just about to say the same thing. I was like, are you Stephen King this? Or?
I hate ending things. I don't want it to be over.
I have to know. And if I don't like if I wouldn't read it, then I know it's not good. Like I know I'm not going to read it. I'm bored writing this.
See, this is why I desperately want to read your stuff, because I find your process to be fascinating in of itself. So
Thank you.
yeah, I want to see for myself. I want to be in that world that you have. You guys have done something really cool, and I'm jealous because I'm not invested in it, and I want to be in that world. So
Well, how deep do you want to go? Because it gets weird.
have you met me? Have you met me?
That's not in real life. I haven't.
Well,
still need to fix that. Ray, what have you been doing, Ray?
What have you been up to?
Goofing around with a story.
apparently building shelves.
Yes.
Shelves.
Well, and so that was the other thing I was going to say before I get onto this next topic. The one thing that I started challenging myself that would change the way that I do art a little bit is doing life drawings. There was a tattoo studio here that brought in models, and then I was only able to make it to one session, but it was a very eye-opening experience in the way of like how quickly time goes past. Like the most amount of time I got to do a drawing was 20 minutes. And I'll share it on the back channel with you guys. Some of the stuff that came out of it. So
They're really good.
They were fun. Yeah. The ones there was a 10-minute one, a 20-minute one, and the rest were like 7 minutes or less. And they were like bang, bang, bang. So.
I will say when he shows, that's not me.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah.
Is this like Titanic or what are we talking about?
A little bit, yeah.
So don't feel weird if you're looking. It's not me. That's not me.
Okay.
As for what I'm doing, I'm playing Spider-Man Remastered right now. It's such a blast. I know I'm behind the times on that one, but
I'm right there with you. I haven't even played it yet.
Okay, so I'm through the main story. I'm through the first DLC because it's included as on the PS5. It's included, which is nice. And then I'm 75% of the way through the second DLC, and I'm trying to finish it up. I know Miles Morales is up for sale as well, so I'll probably go grab that, and then I'll get into Spider-Man 2 eventually as well because I missed playing these games. The Spider-Man games on the PS2 and the PS, like that was, I think it was a PS3 that it came out on as well.
What about the Atari 2600 version?
No. So I miss swinging around as Spider-Man, right? And like Insomniac did such a good job of capturing what it would be like to be Spider-Man, flying through the city and just fighting and all that stuff. So I don't know, it's enjoyable. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Nice. We're a little after an hour, so we're just going to kind of run through the last one, which is thinking about Ghostbusters. I've been thinking a lot about Ghostbusters because the new movie comes out next week. I've got, let's see, we were invited to a showing on Tuesday night, so I'll actually get to see the movie for the first time Tuesday night. I'm going with my little family on Thursday night, and then Friday and Saturday I'll be geared up at the Draft House promoting the movie. Just excited. Apparently Regal has started putting out one of the popcorn containers, and there's a Regal right down the road here for me. And who knows, I may actually go ahead and just jump in my car and drive down there real quick and see if one of them is there. It's a whole thing with the popcorn container side. It's
I have no idea what you're talking about. So yeah, you know what? We saw some of the Slimer thing when we were at the theater. I got you. I understand.
Yeah, so when Afterlife came out, they had a popcorn container that looked like the Ecto that actually had lights on it, but like the top of the Ecto opens up and there's popcorn in there. And that was the first one I ever bought. I was like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. And then when Transformers Rise of the Beast came out, they had a Optimus Prime popcorn tin that looks like Prime is a truck, and like the trailer opens up and that's where the popcorn is, but the top of Prime opens up and that's where you can put like your drink. And I'm just like, that is so cool. I got to get one of those. And now, like for Frozen Empire, there is Slimer holding a bag of popcorn that you can eat popcorn out of. Apparently, there's a version that's just Slimer. What they were showing in the advertisement is not what's been shipping. There's been a lot of pissed off people about that. But like AMC is releasing a ghost trap that's got it's like a piece of pink plexi that goes in the top that looks like kind of the beam coming out of it that holds the popcorn. Regal is releasing one that does not have that, but has lights in the thing. There's like 3 or 4 different
lights in the popcorn.
Yes. They have like a tin that looks like the Firehouse. One theater chain has re-released the Ecto. There's like 8 different popcorn tins for this movie coming out, and then of course I'm sure you heard about the Dune 2 popcorn container, right?
We didn't see them, but I mean, I saw it on the internet, but they didn't have none at the theater.
So a buddy of mine, Travis, was like, I still want to know, did the person who designed this get fired or promoted? Well, I've actually found an interview with the company that's making it. And they were like, yeah, we kept trying to figure out something. We kept coming back to the sandworm. And they were like, let's just do something with sandworm. And then, of course, that blew up. The Saturday Night Live skit definitely helped with that. But this has become like a big business. If you had told me like 5 or 6 years ago, by the way, you're going to collect, popcorn tins, I'd be like, what? Like metal containers? Like why would that's like a grandma thing to do? But if it's shaped like something that's awesome, I'm like, no, that's pretty cool. In fact, we actually just did an episode of the Epically Geeky Show where we designed our own popcorn containers for different movies that have been out, coming out and everything. So, but anyway, yeah. So thinking a lot about Ghostbusters. The other thing I'm going to throw out there is, like I said, I'm moving into a new house. I'm going to be redesigning a bunch of stuff, including my office. And I had collected these Transformers. I think they were under the classic series for a while, and then they came into the Generation series. And they're kind of like modern reimagining of some of the classic characters. So like updated versions of their vehicles and stuff like that. And I collected several of them, and they were fine for the most part. I liked them. They were decent. They were well built. They're all plastic. There's no metal in them, but most all of their joints and stuff are like either slot or a ball and socket. So like when my boys were playing with them and they're like, Dad, I broke the arm off. I'm like, no problem. Go ahead, go play with them again. Like they weren't like back in the day when the arm broke off. Was like, well, or the leg broke off. It's like, well, Prime he's one-legged Prime now. Like there's no fixing this.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've got a lot of them, and to go with it, what's her name, Maria Kondo?
Maria Kondo.
Yeah, Maria Kondo. They don't spark joy anymore. I look at them and I go, they're cool, but they're not capturing my imagination anymore.
Mm-hmm.
There's a series of Transformers that have come out. They're Studio series, Studio 86. And they literally look like someone reached into the movie or cartoon and pulled the character out. They are fantastic. The problem is I have not started collecting these when they came out, and some of the ones they've already released are already super expensive. Example, Grimlock, which were originally sold for $50 or $60. People are wanting $300+ for this thing. Ooh. And I'm like, it's not like a masterpiece that's like, a foot tall and has like every finger is articulated. It's a good looking Grimlock, but it's not $300 worth. Those kind of spark interest to me, but I'm just like, is this a path I want to go down? Do I want to sell the Transformers I have now and see what kind of money I can get for them, and then maybe start collecting this series? Or there's a guy that has designed super articulated robots that look like the original series. Like he's pretty much doing just the Generation 1 Transformers. They don't transform, but they are super articulated and they look really close to how they did in the cartoon series. Like that was his focus. He's like, I wanted them to make them look like their cartoon counterparts. And so I've played around with the idea. I'm like, what is it I'm wanting? What is it that I want? Is it, I want these things that will transform and they're actual toys that look like what I always wanted them to? Or am I wanting something that represents that? And because in the long run, I mean, they wouldn't be able to transform, they wouldn't be able to turn them into their vehicle mode. But I'm like, is this something that I should look into? Because it would be a hell of a lot cheaper to buy one of these new 3D printers and just like pay for his files, because a lot of them he put out there for free and 3D print them. And because the other thing is like this one guy I follow on YouTube, he actually had a problem because he scaled it up so big. He scaled up a Megatron and an Optimus Prime so big that like the joints were not sticking like they should, because there was so much, the tolerance had grown so big. So he was trying to figure out the best way to handle that. Anyway, but I'm just like, yeah, if I wanted a Megatron that looks just like he did in the cartoon series, and I wanted to make this fucker like 2 feet tall and be huge, I could. There's nothing stopping me from doing that. And so I'm in the back of my brain, I'm thinking, when I start getting my office together, is this a route I want to go down? Do I want to maybe get rid of some of these Transformers that I'm not super attached to anymore, to be honest with you? Because at the time I thought, this is probably the best we're going to get. Unbeknownst to me, the toy collectors are just like, oh, let's go after adults now. Let's make what they really want. Yeah. Or is this something that I should look at making myself? Like I said, they wouldn't transform, but I mean, if you walked in my office side and you saw a bunch of Transformers that looked like they came out of the cartoon, you would probably be like, I'm sure you would be like, well, they don't transform. Well, no, you probably would. You'd probably, just to rub it in. But I'm just like, how cool would that be that I could make these and they would look like I want them to look? I don't know. It's something I'm not dying to figure out, but it is on the
I don't think you're going to be happy until you buy the actual vehicles and then modify them, get a mechanic and actually have them turn into the actual robots,
Since I'm never going to be able to do that, that's a little far out, but yeah.
Then program the AI into, anyway.
There's a Instagrammer that I follow. She's a collector. Right now she's specifically doing Harry Potter stuff, but she's been collecting, I think, for 8 years now. And she has no sentimental attachment to any of her things. She started with Ray Dunn, all that Ray Dunn stuff. And then the Ray Dunn stuff turned into Funko Pop. The Funko Pops turned into Harry Potter stuff, and kind of Up to the movie Up. And then now it's mostly strictly just Harry Potter, but she sells pieces of her collection all the time. She's constantly cycling things in and out, in and out. And so she's actually a really great one specifically for collecting, is because she's just like, yeah, I have no sentimental attachment to any of this. Like right now, I like what I have, but if tomorrow I decide, like if I woke up and decided I didn't want to do this anymore, she would sell everything. Like she's just, and it's nice to hear because I'm very sentimental, and it's not cheap. Collecting is not cheap. And so when you find something that you really, really like and you get into it and there's a whole community around it, then you wake up one day and you're like, I don't like this anymore. That's a lot, right? So
yeah,
I say sell a lot, do the thing.
The problem is I'm trying to figure out which thing I'm going to do. Am I going to spend the money to collect the items, or am I going to or am I going to take the Rick Sanchez route of I make my own shit? Yeah. So
I think you should just switch everything to that other Ghostbusters that they made back in the day with the gorilla, and just focus on that completely.
You want to talk about an expensive hobby? That is an expensive hobby right there, because they didn't make a lot of it, and it goes for buku bucks. Let me tell you.
Hey, you 3D print it, man. Sell it. You know.
Although we had the idea the other day when we were coming up. So Kris, if you haven't listened to the Epically Geeky Show, Kris is like, well, my ideas weren't really great. That really were that involved or whatever. And so we maybe helped her punch up some of her ideas. And so she's like, what if the popcorn bin, the popcorn thing looks like Mount Doom? We're like, what if you put LEDs in it so it looks like, you got the lights and stuff in it? And then Ray said something, and I was like, well, what if you had a topper for the top of your soda that looks like the Eye of Sauron? And I was like, should I be designing this and selling this? Like that could be a thing. So you say that, and we're like, no, that was a great idea. That was a fantastic idea. Like, I need popcorn out of Mountain Dew. What are you talking about? That'd be awesome. So
you guys had some good ideas with that. It was awesome.
Yeah. Let's see, Kris, what are you thinking about?
What am I thinking about? Childhood, not mine. We don't need to go there. But my kids' childhood, and specifically Logan, because Logan's technically not a child anymore. She's 18 years old. And so I have an adult kid. Cyrus, you can relate to this because your daughter's arc into 30. So it's just, and today I went to my aunt's. My aunt has a pool, and one of my cousins just had a baby last summer. and she and some of her mom friends get together once a week and swim in this pool. And so my sister came too. She's got 3 boys. And it was just standing there watching the bedlam happen and just realized I was there 3 seconds ago. Like that was my life. I was doing the pool. I was hanging out with my mom friends like 2-3 times a week. And my kids were that small. And one of my cousin's wives, she just had a baby 7 weeks ago. And she's got 3 older kids, not old, like, I mean, the oldest one's almost 6, but like I'm holding this little 7-week-old little marshmallow of a baby. And I'm like, oh, I was, not that I want another one, but it was just like, I remember this. And it just went like that. And it's very cool that, at least for me, in my experience, I got to be home for the whole thing. It just worked out that way. That wasn't the plan. But it's just been really cool when you think about it, to watch somebody their whole life, like to just see everything. And it's really cool. And to see the people that they've become, like, I mean, Logan, she's amazing. She's friggin' awesome. And today, this morning, she got her G2, which in Ontario, we have a graduated licensing system. So at 16, you can get your G1, which is a written test. It's like your learners. And then you have a year, and then you can take your road test, which is your G2. And that gives you a lot more freedom. Basically, you can do everything except for drive with blood alcohol level. And she just got that this morning, and she was super nervous, but she's been practicing like crazy, and she did driver's ed, and she did all the things, and she did it. She got it. And so she's this independent driving woman who can go where she pleases. And it was just really cool that, like, she's 18, and then I'm looking at my cousin's baby, and I'm like, this is just that just happened. But it's hard not to tell them. It's like hard not to be like, here's all my motherly advice, because I'm not the same type of mother they are. That's not my kid.
It's not the same era.
It's not the same era at all. It's completely different. So, like,
even you, Eugene, dealing with the boys at the age that they are is very different than us dealing with the kids
at the
when
age
they were
12, like, right?
It's a different world.
It is. And so now, like, and I was telling my one of my cousins, it's like she's got a 2-month-old, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an almost 6-year-old. Her 2 girls are only 8 months apart. They adopted and then got pregnant. It was kind of this wonderful thing that happened. So she's just like, she just had a baby. And I just was like, I don't like babies. I love that you have a baby. Thank you for letting me hold him. And I'm being useful and I'm being helpful. But I like toddlers. Toddlers are my jam. I said toddlers and teens.
Give me the baby. I'll hold that baby all night long.
And I'm not. Quinn's kind of in the same boat with me, where he's just like, I don't know what to do with the baby. The baby.
Yeah. It just seems tricky.
Yeah. But I like toddlers and I like teenagers. That seems to be where, and I don't know if that's your experience, Cy, with your daughter with the teen years, but like teenagers are the shit. They're awesome.
Well, I'll tell you this. My daughter and I are really close now, and we've had some good time together recently. And I'll tell you, when they're grown, you have a whole different relationship, and you'll know each other way more and in more ways than you ever thought possible. Yeah. The best times are yet to come.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, because it's just like,
I've been saying it for a few different people. Every new stage has been my favorite.
Yeah.
But now I have a little bit of, I can stand back and look a little bit and be like, yeah, the toddlers were cool. Toddlers are pretty awesome people, but teenagers, and my cousin's wife was like, that's usually not the experience. And I'm like, I don't know. My kids are awesome. I said, generally people, I think the parents that don't have great relationships with their teens is because they're jerks to their teens. Honestly,
they forget that
they forget
people, right?
They forget what it's like to be a teenager.
It's complicated. It's a complicated time.
Right?
Yeah.
It's such a weird time where you're expected to have all this responsibility, but nobody trusts you.
Yes.
Right. Like you're too young to know. You don't have enough life experience, except let's make a decision that'll put your life in this trajectory.
Yeah.
But you have to make it now. Here's
But
I don't know. Right.
Here, let's lend you $100,000 that you can never get out from underneath and go to college for something you may or may not like.
That's right.
But you have to decide.
Even though you're only 17.
Exactly. So it's such a bizarre time. And so with our kids, it's very
interesting.
It's been fun. And then they've been teenagers through a pandemic too. So that has done weird things to their social capabilities too, right? Like,
like you were talking about things being different, like, Kris and I had to come to the understanding, and I was the one that kind of pointed it out to her. I'm like, the main thing we tend to take away from them, like when they're being punished, is their video game time. I'm like, but do you realize, like, it's not like taking the Nintendo away from Cyrus. This is how they interact with their friends. This is literally like saying you're grounded. You can't play video games. You can't go hang out with your friends. You can't go talk with certain friends. I'm like, we're literally cutting almost everything out. And so I try not to pull that card every time. The threat of it definitely makes a little more sense because it's like you're really about to get it.
Yeah.
But I totally get it, because like when we moved in my mom's house, like we were talking about doing it, I was like, you realize like they didn't bring any toys. Like they have no toys here. So if we were to take away games, all they can do is pretty much like watch stuff on their phone. That's all they have left to do, because they don't know any kids around here.
No.
It's so different than when I was growing up, because if you play on the Nintendo, all right, cool, I'll go get my Transformers or something. So
when I got grounded, it was like, oh, you're gonna send me to my room where I actually want
where I have stuff that's awesome and I like. Sure, okay. So
sweet.
My mom pulled something on me, which I ended up using later when I was raising my daughter. And at a certain point, she stopped punishing me and started sitting me down and explaining things to me.
Yeah.
And we would have talks, and I would be forced to confront my behavior.
Yeah.
In an intellectual way.
That's awesome.
And when that happens, when you get to that point, and it takes a while before you get there, but when you get to that point, that's when you start to get somewhere,
Yeah.
As long as there's punishments, it's like, that's the get out of jail. Like you had a punishment. So now I can go back to doing what I want to do, and I'll get punished again. And then I'll go back to doing what I want to do. I'll get punished again. Once you break that cycle and it becomes, I don't want to go through this anymore. When the kid starts to understand what it means, like what their behavior actually is going to cost them,
I'm trying to get there, but I'm not quite there.
It's
yet.
no.
It's coming. It's coming. Yeah, and that's like amazing that your mom had the forethought, especially in the generation. To sit you down and have like this open, like, listen, dude.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you this. I made some bad mistakes growing up, and what really did it was, I made some choices that hurt her.
Yeah.
And she needed to explain it to me that the thing that I had decided to do hurt her. Yeah. And then I got it. But that, you're not doing anything wrong, Eugene. It takes time for these kids to. That's a concept that kids don't have until they're older.
I know, but
it'll happen.
I'm trying to introduce it. I'm trying to get them to understand. You realize by doing what you're doing, if you just done what you're supposed to do, you'd be done.
Yeah.
But now we have to have the conversation. You have to have the punishment. You have to do. I'm like, you ate like an hour and a half of game time. If you had just done it the first time.
Yeah.
But they haven't quite gotten to that point. So, but
and they're only
what you're saying, and that's an awesome.
I think honestly, Eugene, I'm going to say this also. You're kind of at a deficit in this area because you're the dad, and boys learn this from their moms a lot easier, I think, because it's something that there's something ingrained in us about how we like. a dad, you're gonna you have your relationship and it's awesome and everything else, but your mom you will protect, and your mom you will feel guilty about, and your mom you have a different set of emotions. You know what I'm saying?
No, I get it.
So, but you're not doing anything the wrong way. It just takes time.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too, is like I'm watching my cousins parent their kids, and there's all this new research and information and trends in parenting. It's so different from when we did it, and it doesn't feel like that like long ago, but there's so much more available to them. And it's just interesting to watch how, the younger millennials are parenting their kids.
Yeah.
Because I'm super old millennial. But it is different, and it's different than the way I grew up. But yeah, just watching Logan right at the start of adulthood, and she's excited, like she's looking forward, and that's contagious. I didn't think it was gonna be, because I was not happy about it. I was like, no, but
it's funny because I've been saying for a long,
I didn't like.
I've been excited. I've been excited because she's at the precipice. Like she's right at the beginning of where she's gonna go off and do whatever she's gonna do, and that's exciting for me. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it is exciting.
Yeah,
it is. Like, God, her whole life is right in front of her, and she gets to make choices.
This is part of why I say like it gets better, because as your kids get older, the opportunities start to become like adult opportunities, whether it be, career things or educational things, or they're building their own world, building their own families, building their own, it starts to become exciting in a whole new way. But, Eugene, I got to tell you this, like the experience that you have raising your boys is probably so different from anything I went through, because we didn't have social media like there is. We didn't have, so, I mean, I think y'all are doing a great job. And I think it's such a tough thing to even, like, it's tough. I mean, it's so hard, but I think you're doing a great job.
And you have a double whammy. There's two of them at the same time.
Yeah.
You have no break. Like when puberty hits that house, whoa.
But on the other hand, like, and I've told people this too. On the other hand, though, like when we were done with diapers, we were done with diapers.
You were in that,
Whereas, like Lewis was like, Diego just got out of diapers, and now here's Mateo, and now we get to do this for another 2 years. And I'm just like, nope, I'm done.
So there is that. Like once you're done, you're done. There's nobody coming up behind.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just it was just reflecting on that. Just more recently, since she turned 18, and since she's picked her college, and that's where she's going for the program, and that's where she's going to live for 4 years, and watching my cousins and my sister's kids are younger, not a whole lot younger. Her oldest is going to be 13. But just watching all of that and being like, it's amazing. I just loved it. I had such a good time. I mean, I didn't go in the pool. They're like, "Are you going to go swimming?" I'm like, "I don't have to go swimming. I'm not going in the pool. My kid doesn't need me. No, she's over there. She's hanging out with your kid." So that's what I was thinking. It's just a really weird thing to witness. It's really cool. And then also realizing that, you're in your 40s, but you still here doesn't feel like you're in your 40s. It's a trip.
Oh no, I still that's a whole other rabbit hole.
That's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other thing. So what are you thinking about?
Yeah.
So I kind of had a theme this week, and it was a theme parks. So I've been thinking about Universal and the Epic Universe, and we want to get down there, all that stuff. But the other one that's really starting to tickle the back of the brain there is Universal Studios is opening up another park in the UK in 2030, and I'm so excited for what they want to do there, because they don't want to recreate the park, because a lot of people from the UK go to Florida.
Yeah.
So what they're talking about doing is potentially putting in Lord of the Rings. They're talking about doing like these other IP addresses that they are, like these other what's it called?
Trademarks.
Trademarks, well, I guess it's the best word. Like, So these other catalogs that they can start pulling from,
Mhm.
they own. And Lord of the Rings is apparently one of them. Zelda is another one that they're talking about potentially, and that would be an amazing spot to put that in. So there's some really cool things. And what I've been thinking about is Disney seems to be behind the eight ball now. Universal's really pushing the envelope. When they rethemed Diagon Alley in particular, and they put you in the movie, it felt like you were walking on the set and like you were a part of it. So that's what they've learned, and now they're doing it for the entire park. So to go that length and to do that, and Disney tried to do it with Star Wars, and I was watching somebody compare some stuff. The reason why they did what they did with Star Wars with the different Galaxy's Edge was in rebuttal to Harry Potter. They had an opportunity to do Harry Potter themselves. J.K. Rowling came to them, and then Universal Studios did the first one. J.K. Rowling came to them again and said, here's another opportunity. Do you want to? Disney said, nope, thanks anyway. See you later. So Universal Studios really knocked it out of the park with Diagon Alley, and that they own that now.
Mm-hmm.
So what Disney was trying to do was catch up with them with Galaxy's Edge, and Butterbeer was such a popular thing over at Universal Studios that Disney said, okay, we got to make our own thing. What did they come up with? They came up with blue milk.
Blue milk.
And blue milk is like one of the worst friggin' drinks out there. Apparently, it's rice milk, so it's really chalky. It's kind of got it's milk, but it's got like this fruity flavor to it, and like it never picked up, and nobody really enjoys it. So Disney doesn't do well when they're behind the eight ball. They're better when they're leading and when they're trying to push the edge. And they've been so worried about money right now and like spending it in the wrong areas. And so I commend Universal Studios for trying to lead the way, and I can't wait to see what they come up with.
Yeah, because I never hear anyone talk about blue milk. All I ever heard people talking about was I got one of the thermal detonators, the Coke and Sprite bottles that were like, that's what everyone wanted. Like everyone wanted that. It was like, it wasn't that it was a special drink. It was like, oh no, it's shaped like the thing. And
the thought of even having any kind of milk after that second Star Wars, episode 8? I'm like, nah, I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Rice milk also, because I know, is disgusting. It's so gross. There's no way you can make that taste good. It's so gross.
Well, the one guy who described it, he's like, it's like taking a drink of liquefied chalk, and then you can't get it off your tongue. You can't get it out. Like you need water immediately to down it because it just, because
rice is so starchy.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Because that's what you want to. That's what you want to knock back when you've been hot and sweaty walking around
with kids. They're
gonna hot water.
Exactly.
I'm sure no one's gonna throw that up.
Meanwhile, you go over to Universal Studios and they have different versions of butterbeer. You can have it hot, you can have it cold, you can have it frozen, and it's all delicious. Like it's the frozen one's the best. Yeah. So.
Mommy, why is the sidewalk blue? Don't worry about it. Just keep walking. It's sticky. Shut up.
It was a Smurf. Yeah. So I've just been thinking more about theme parks and really the fall of Disney, because it's just been a lot of people are saying for the price and everything of it, it just is not.
They didn't do well over COVID. The way they handled.
We lost Eugene again.
No, we lost him again.
Yeah, you've got a big grin on your face, though. That's cute.
I was like, why is he smiling so much? Oh, he's frozen.
But Disney, there was complaints of the way Disney handled COVID protocols.
Which
Kids.
Yeah.
There's and that's part, but I think the other part of it is they've been trying to pump out so much stuff but they're not spending money in the right areas.
Anyway, Eugene.
I'm trying. Can y'all hear me?
Oh, we can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Good. Okay, cool.
Frozen in a smile.
Okay, that's fine as long as y'all can still hear me.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Maybe it'll get caught up here in a second. So Cyrus, what have you been thinking about?
Not much. Just doing my thing, hanging out, doing streams, playing video games, and hanging out with friends, doing their streams, and my daughter's gonna be moving out, and I've been thinking about what I'm gonna do here and how things are gonna change, and she's actually moving out this weekend. So.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, but
Yeah. Unless something changes, but that's what I think's happening. So yeah, I've been trying not to think about it actually. I don't know. Nothing. I'm not really. I don't know.
Fair enough.
We try not.
Apparently, I'm still frozen. So lovely.
You are frozen.
Yeah.
Just like on the Ghostbusters movie.
Okay. Anyway, well, I guess that is our show, ladies and gentlemen. If you would please give us a 5-star rating on or YouTube, because you can apparently listen to podcasts on YouTube, which is a thing. You can find us at epicgeeky.com, where you can find the other shows that we do, including the Epic Geeky Show, Marginally Geeky, and Sustainably Geeky. You can find us on social media at Epically Geeky on Facebook and Instagram. Where can we find you online, Ray?
The Reluctant Yeti on Instagram. Sorry. The Reluctant Yeti on Instagram.
Kris?
Moody Midlife on Instagram.
Cyrus?
Super Mega Graphic 64 on YouTube. I'm also on Rumble, but Rumble is just like I duplicate the same thing. I multi-stream, so it's the same stuff that's on YouTube. So
Okay. And as always, you can find my individual wacky adventure online at Optimus Gene on Facebook and Instagram. For everyone on the site, have a good night.